right, welcome back to another After Dark, everybody. Hope you all are having a good night so far. Hope you guys had a wonderful day. So I had a request to check out this video here. This is from the members section, and it's a Cosgrove video, and it sounds very entertaining. So let's check this out. This is revisiting all 7 wins from the worst team in NBA history, the 2011-2012 Bobcats. Oh man, I thought the Pistons had that title from what, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago? But I guess I'm wrong, unless, let me double check. 3 weeks ago this got released. Nope, this is, so I don't recall this being even worse than the Pistons season, so this is going to be cool. I'll leave it at that, guys. The link is down below for the original video for Cosgrove if you want to check it out. Highly recommend this channel, especially for nighttime moods. You'll see in a second. Anyways, guys, I think I want to get right into this because I don't have anything to say about the topic right off the top of my head because, like I said, I'm going in kind of blind. I thought the Pistons held this title, so apparently I'm wrong about this. So anyways, let's get right in. Guys, super shout out to members. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for everything, and I always look forward to seeing you guys and talking with you guys in the member section. So just wanted to give you guys a serious shout out. All right, you all ready? Like the vid, hype the vid if you could. I'd appreciate it, and let's go.
In my last 2 videos, we broke down all 10 losses from the Bulls' legendary 72-10 season and all 9 losses from the Warriors' historic 73-9 season. So today, I figured we'd flip the script by revisiting all 7 wins from the worst team in NBA history.
7 wins. Yeah, it's in the title. 7 wins. 7 out of 82.
2011-12 Charlotte Bobcats. Because let's be honest, ain't no way in hell I'm sitting here going through all 59 of their losses.
59? 59 plus 7? Is 66? Okay. So shortened season. That's right. Okay.
We clown that Bobcats team all the time for how brutal that season was, but nobody ever talks about the handful of teams that somehow managed to lose to them. And if your squad is one of those teams and you're feeling a little embarrassed, well, maybe they should have played harder 14 years ago to avoid being called out in this video.
Oh, damn, dude. Dude. I never heard that kind of tone from Cosgrove. Like, if you don't want me to call out how crappy your team is, maybe your team shouldn't have been so crappy.
As we all know, Michael Jordan officially joined the Charlotte Bobcats organization in 2006 as a minority owner and head of basketball operations. 4 years later in 2010, he purchased a majority stake in the franchise, becoming the first former NBA player to ever become a majority owner of an NBA team. And at the time, things actually looked promising. That 2010 Bobcats team was the best version of the franchise up to that point. They finished with their first winning record, made the playoffs for the first time in team history, and even produced the franchise's first All-Star in Gerald Wallace. And on top of that, Charlotte ended the season with the best defensive rating in the entire league. Wow. But after getting swept by Dwight Howard in the Orlando Magic in the first round, Michael...
Hold up. Under Coach Larry Brown. I thought so. Okay, yeah. Best... Wow. That defense.
Michael Jordan wasn't impressed. Instead of building off that success, he chose to tear it all down and start fresh.
But I want to move from the 8th spot up to the top 3 spot.
Within the next year, the core of that playoff roster was completely dismantled. Gerald Wallace, Steven Jackson, Raymond Felton, and Tyson Chandler were all gone. In their place came a new group of players. Corey McGee.
Yeah, I see Cosgrove's point. That was probably a bad move. Maybe Jordan kind of forgot how long it took to build the Bulls up to the point where they were champions. Like, can't just try once, fail, and then blow it up. But he was new to the job.
He arrived in a summer 2011.
Not making any excuses for him. I think he made bad choices.
Trade for Steven Jackson. That same offseason, Charlotte drafted Kemba Walker and Bismack Biyombo, while a few leftover pieces from that 2010 team filled out the rest of the roster. Jordan was actually optimistic.
Yeah, I should have kept Tyson Chandler, man.
He even suggested this group could still compete for a playoff spot, but he had absolutely no idea how wrong he was. The 2011-12 Charlotte Bobcats were the complete opposite of everything Michael Jordan represented as a player. They were inefficient, non-competitive, and at times borderline unwatchable.
Some people say that the Charlotte team of 2011 was one of the worst teams ever in the league.
No, it was.
You think so? You actually think so?
Yes. Lost a lot of games that year. It was rough. It was unbearable for real. Especially because I just came off a national championship.
Yeah.
Like I just came off being on the best team in college basketball to the worst team in the NBA. So
but that's how it goes when you're a high draft pick. It's you go from ultimate success to we have to build something from the ground up in the NBA.
22 games by 20 or more points. They lost 9 games.
Say that again, Cosgrove.
Team in the NBA. So
they lost 22 games by 20 or more points.
Oh my God, they were that team. So if you're a fan of the Bobcats this year, like you tune on the game, by halftime you go, oh, here we go again.
They lost 9 games by 30 or more points. They finished dead last in offensive rating, and unsurprisingly also finished with the worst defense in the league. This team wasn't just bad, they were historically awful.
Charlotte this year is, I mean, awful beyond words that I can even come up with.
Maybe the worst ever.
They may be the worst basketball team I have, and they have talent, but in terms of piecing it together, they may be the worst team that I have ever witnessed.
Charlotte quickly...
Well, if anybody knows, was Larry Brown still coaching them this year?
Became the punchline of the NBA, and because of that,
how does this even happen?
That I have ever witnessed.
Charlotte quickly became the punchline of the NBA, and because of that, losing to them became one of the most embarrassing things that could happen to any team.
Okay, no, so Paul Silas had the gig this year.
Because of the lockout, the season didn't begin until Christmas. December 26th marked the first game of the season for both Milwaukee and Charlotte, with former Bobcat Steven Jackson playing against his old team for the first time since being traded for Corey Maggette.
Should have kept Steven Jackson too.
Charlotte actually started the game strong, but Milwaukee eventually found their rhythm and controlled much of the first half. Right before halftime, Maggette threw down a flashy one-handed alley-oop that ignited the crowd, but the Bobcats still had work to do. In the second half, Charlotte slowly chipped away. By late in the third quarter, they had taken the lead.
67-66, under 2 to play in the third, and the Bobcats have come all the way back, and listen to the crowd.
Damn, the crowd's
they
there.
held that advantage for most of the fourth, until Milwaukee briefly reclaimed it late, only for Charlotte to respond one final time, opening the season with a win, believe it or not. Now,
anybody else think
Milwaukee didn't even know
Milwaukee with the red jerseys throwing you off too?
Know that it was embarrassing to lose to them yet, because the season had just started. The Bobcats won 96-95. DJ Augustine led the way with 19 points, while Kemba Walker impressed in his NBA debut, scoring 13 off the bench, with Michael Jordan loving what he saw from him. That exact same score showed up again in their next game against the Miami Heat. Unfortunately, this time Charlotte was on the losing end. Still, losing to the defending Eastern Conference champs by 1 point felt encouraging, but that optimism didn't last long.
That's true. That's the Miami Big Three Miami team. Said Miami twice.
Next 3 games were blowout losses. On January 4th, Charlotte faced the New York Knicks. Kemba Walker made his return to Madison Square Garden, where he helped the UConn Huskies win the Big East tournament in that very building the year before. The game started brutally. Former Bobcat Tyson Chandler scored off of an opening tip alley-oop, but Charlotte didn't fold. They shot the lights out, resulting in the Knicks hearing boos from their crowd.
Knicks have turned it over 16 times. Walker sets and puts up a three and knocks it down. And the Knicks are down by 15, largest lead of the game. Timeout Knicks. Here come the boos.
Yeah.
Charlotte shot 55% from the field, with all 5 of their starters scoring in double figures.
Again, winds down, Diaw. Everything he's put up seems to go in tonight, and that continues. 27.
Boris Diaw was pretty good for the Suns. He was a little bit soft on defense, so we gave him a lot of crap for that. But he was a great facilitator, very, very high basketball IQ, very unique player. He was just really, really quiet and not like emotional, kind of robotic.
Points for Boris Diaw.
But he got a lot of skill.
It's just been brilliant tonight. One of the best games I've ever seen him play.
Henderson, what about...
It also, I noticed it looked like he gained quite a bit of weight in Charlotte.
Oh, look at him. Henderson, 10 of 13 from the field. He just hasn't missed.
When the final buzzer sounded, both teams had the same record. One of the teams would go on to make the playoffs, while the other would go on to make history in the worst way possible.
Okay, but early on in the season, these guys... they were decent. 2 and 4 is not great, but it's not like you wouldn't expect that to be the worst team in history. So I'm curious, kind of like what happened along the journey that just killed their self-confidence.
After that win against the Knicks, Charlotte dropped 6 straight games.
Oh. Sometimes I wonder why did I pause and chime in? 5 seconds later, I would have had the answer. So this is when it happens, huh? Atlanta, Indiana, New York, Houston, Atlanta again, Detroit.
Then came a rare back-to-back-to-back game, probably because they had to quickly make up for lost time due to the lockout. The Warriors were without Stephen Curry, and Kemba Walker made his first career NBA start. Once Charlotte got rolling, the game was never really close. They led by 20 at halftime, scoring 66 points in the first half, and still led by 20 after the third quarter as well. Golden State made a late push.
Robinson takes the three. Single-digit lead. Rush at the top into the paint to McGuire, to the corner to Ellis for three. And Golden State now is within 7.
But a clutch Kemba Walker and one sealed the deal.
Kemba Walker, Gerald Henderson, Byron Mullins, all at 20 or more.
That's good. Cosgrove knows the actual term of and one too, because most people don't seem to know it anymore.
This is the part of the season where they really started to accumulate losses as they proceeded to lose 16 straight games. February 17th.
Wow. Damn. Look at that. Imagine they're playing almost every day too. They're playing almost every day out here and they're just losing.
Was Michael Jordan's birthday, and all he wanted was for his team to finally win again. Now, you would think that the Raptors wouldn't be too worried about a team coming in having lost 16 games in a row, until you realize that Toronto had actually lost 4 straight games to the Bobcats going into that night, dating back to the previous season.
You know, we're getting ready for Raptors Bobcats on this very floor tomorrow. 3-26 are the Charlotte Bobcats, but you can't play a team's record because we've seen letdowns before. We've heard Coach Casey say time and time again, can't take anyone lightly.
It was pretty much neck and neck.
Imagine what the gambling odds would have been on these guys all year. Like, you'd probably make money by just betting low money that they win every single game, because when it hits, it's going to hit like a 10x, you know?
First 3 quarters, until Charlotte began to create a little separation in the fourth.
Win one
and
for
were
MJ.
the ones who came up with the bigger plays late. Reggie Williams scored a season-high 22 points, and Michael Jordan got his birthday present, a win, after Charlotte had gone over a month without one. They would only go on to lose 5 straight games after that, which is obviously not great, but is certainly better than losing another 16 straight. Going into this March 6th matchup against the Orlando Magic, the Bobcats sat at an abysmal 4-31 record. Charlotte really struggled to start the game, especially Corey Maggette. Then, midway through the second quarter, Bobcats head coach Paul Silas got ejected from the game after getting upset over a non-foul call, so his son Steven Silas took over. It seemed like they were in store for another blowout, but apparently that ejection seemed to have provided a spark for the Bobcats. This was the score when their head coach got ejected, and this was the score at the half. And they would continue their run in the second half. Maggette
That's a trick some coaches use, by the way. Some old school coaches, they will amp up the team by basically, you know, you got to have your coaches back. Unless the team hates you as a coach, then that probably won't work.
Things around, finishing with 29 points.
3 turnovers for Orlando this quarter. And
I was going to say, no way is Dwight Howard playing, but there he is. Okay.
Are in the lead thanks to Corey Maggette. 18 unanswered points. Augustine on the run. Shovel pass.
Get up, Corey.
Bobcats are rolling right now.
20-0 run for Charlotte after being down 20.
Charlotte went from being down by as many as 20 in the first half to actually winning by 16. Now, I guess you can say
so
that
it's looking like it's not so much of a skill issue with this team, but like it's almost like they were dead inside, and they needed things to like amp them up. Like, it's Jordan's birthday, let's win one for Jordan. Oh, hey, they kicked out our coach Paul Silas. Like, we gotta win for him. It seems like just on an average day, they didn't really like. They were dead inside. It's the best way I can say it, you know?
They didn't have
like
to
nothing was motivating them.
Too long for their next win. Obviously, losing 3 in a row would be a cause for concern for any other team, but for this Bobcats team, it wasn't too bad. This March 12th game featured 2 of the worst teams in the league. Combined, they had 15 wins total. Charlotte trailed most of the game, but never by more than double digits. Then came a 22-5 run that spanned from late in the third quarter to midway through the fourth quarter. New Orleans responded with an 11-0 run, and with 5 seconds left, had a chance to tie or win. On the final possession, Trevor Ariza had a wide open open lane, but Bismack Biyombo came up with a huge game-saving block as the Bobcats held on for a 73-71 victory, snapping a 3-game losing streak, but of course still had the league's worst record at
So this was post Chris Paul Hornets. 10 and 32. They were terrible too.
6-34. New Orleans, meanwhile, increased their chances even more of landing the top overall pick in the 2012.
How the hell did my Suns lose to Minnesota? What the hell? 2012?
NBA draft lottery by losing. So maybe Charlotte did themselves a disservice if you really think about it. Shockingly, the Bobcats would only go on to experience a 2-game.
Oh, it's post Steve Nash. Sorry. All right, I'm back in.
Losing streak before getting their next win. Heading into this March 17th game against the Toronto Raptors, the Bobcats were tied with the 1947-48 Providence Steamrollers for the fewest number of wins in an NBA season at 6. But the
1947?
Bobcats felt pretty good about getting their 7th win because they had already beat Toronto earlier in the season and had won 5 in a row against them. Early on, it looked like the Raptors wanted to change that. They came out hot, leading by as many as 15 in the first half. But Charlotte would go on a 16-4 run to open the third quarter to take the lead and managed to keep that lead for the rest of the way to win for the second time in their past 4 games. After the game, Toronto's head coach Dwayne Casey tried to come up with every excuse in the book as to why they lost to this Bobcats team because he knew that it wasn't a good look. And honestly, I don't blame him.
You know, not only did we have to stay over last night, got out of our routine, got here late, went through a fire alarm, couldn't get our regular routine before the game, and then our uniforms were late. We barely got our uniforms washed right before the game, so guys were putting their uniforms on wet at the start of the game. So
with that win, Charlotte avoided time.
I mean, I know it's embarrassing to lose to this team, but you got to just, we all know any given Sunday, anybody could win, you know, like you just never know. You just got to tip your hat off to the winner and be like, well, apparently they can play once in a while when they want to.
The fewest wins record. All they had to do now was win one more game to avoid the worst winning percentage ever held by the 1972-73 Philadelphia 76ers.
One more
game. They had 23 chances.
20. Oh no. Oh no. So you're telling me they got 23 games left in the season. All they got to do is win one of those 23. And of course it's 23 like Michael Jordan, who's the owner of the team. This is going to be ugly, man.
They lost all 23.
Damn.
Charlotte finished the season on a 23-game losing streak. Ironically, the same number Michael Jordan wore in Chicago. Even when teams rested their stars late in the year, Charlotte still couldn't find a win. Their final game against New York was nationally televised. Everyone knew history was about to be made, and not the good kind.
What's going on in Charlotte, I mean, damn, a case could be made. People need to get their money back. I mean, it's just bad. It's just bad.
57 record and in jeopardy of being the worst team ever.
You know, trying to finish strong, you know, trying not to be the worst team in history.
From being a playoff team to kind of, as you said, almost worst team in history.
You see things on ESPN and SportsCenter, and people asking questions, you know, like we want to lose, and that's not the case. You know, we want to win. And
the Knicks made sure.
I believe him too. This doesn't seem like a team that's tanking. Something else is terrible is going on here. 2011 are infamous for being the worst team in history. Yep.
No repeat embarrassment. Charlotte got blown out, breaking a 39-year-old record.
Worst winning percentage in NBA history.
Usually Michael Jordan sat at the end of the Bobcats bench, but not this time. He was hiding in his private suite, and when they showed him on the Jumbotron, something happened that had once seemed inconceivable. The crowd started to boo him. Baron Davis couldn't believe what he was hearing. Wait until you hear this. Jordan's Bulls only lost a total of 43 games throughout the duration of their entire second three-peat, while his Bobcats lost 59 games in that 2011-12 season.
In a shortened season and a lockout season too. Oh no. Oh, dude, MJ, what happened, man?
As a player, Jordan engineered the greatest season ever, but as an executive, he was now the not-so-proud owner of the worst. His image definitely took a temporary hit.
What do we think about when your name comes up? Once upon a time, it was the greatest player who ever played the game. Now there's an asterisk next to that little note because you might be the worst as an executive if you don't turn this around. When did you ever think you would associate the word worse with anything? pertaining to Michael Jordan.
I love Michael Jordan.
And it's fair, but like I think Jordan, first of all, like Jordan learned throughout this process that if he's not on the floor, he can't really make that impact he wants to, you know. And he had very unrealistic expectations to how hungry these guys were going to be to win, what they were willing to do to win. He said it himself, but. That being said, I'm more interested in the fact that Stephen A. and Michael Jordan are still friends. Like, you know, like Stephen A. still says they text each other and blah, blah, blah. Stephen A. just called out Jordan as an executive here, saying he might possibly be the worst. Isn't that exactly what Charles Barkley did? And their friendship got ended? So I wonder, why was it different with Barkley?
Love him as a guy, love him as a performer. Greatest performer in any sport ever.
Ever.
Worst NBA GM ever.
If any of the Bobcats players even attempted to talk trash that season, all their opponents had to do was bring up their record for an automatic checkmate.
Yeah,
it's very possible that season ultimately resulted in Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley not being friends anymore because Barkley criticized Jordan for how he was running the Bobcats.
Okay, yeah, but so did Stephen A. right there.
What's caused the rift between you and Michael?
I think that Michael was upset about some of the things I said about the Bobcats, which, number one, they were true.
And when the Hornets name finally became available again, I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan felt it was the perfect opportunity to wash the bad taste out of everybody's mouth by changing back to the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, I don't blame him on that one.
Even though the 1973 Sixers hold the record for the most losses in an NBA season with 73, and the 1948 Steamrollers hold the record for the fewest wins in a season, the 2011-12 Bobcats are still considered the worst team of all time, due to having the lowest winning percentage for a single season, winning just 7 of 66 games. And on top of that, they still didn't get the #1 pick, having to settle for Anthony Davis's Kentucky teammate Michael Kidd-Gilchrist at #2, which turned out to be a pretty bad pick.
Yeah, the worst jump shot form in NBA history.
Considering how many future All-Stars they missed out on. But what do you expect from a man who selected Kwame Brown first overall and Adam Morrison?
Oh, shout out to Adam Morrison, dude. He was one of the better college players I've ever seen. I got to tell you the truth. I thought that pick, not so much. I mean, Kwame's hard to say, man. Kwame had a rough story. You know, the way he came in, when he came in, and all that stuff. Adam Morrison, though, shocked me because if you watched him play in college, he seemed like he had it all together. Like you know, he was calm, concise, calculated, and he had all the skill and talent in the world. Get him into the NBA, and well, no one's talking about Adam Morrison anymore. I barely remembered him, but we were comparing him to Larry Bird at that point. You know, he was one of those guys.
Third overall in the past. To put this horrendous season into perspective, the following year, it only took 12 games for the Bobcats to get 7 wins. Just wow.
Just wow, indeed. In other words, I think, like, I understand why he picked Adam Morrison, because I had my eyes on him too before he got drafted. I was watching him in college, but it just didn't work out. So that one I can't say much about, but yeah, that's about the most I'm going to be defending Jordan as an executive or an owner when it comes to this. The only flex he has as an owner is that the value of his team went up with the value of all teams across the board while he was owner. So he ended up making a killing. Like, he made a ton of money off of buying and selling that team. But yeah, as far as his tenure, I guess he got in, he was fresh, and he got impatient, which is weird because if you have like zero expectation from the outside and you take a young team and somehow they're scrappy enough to make the playoffs, you know, like if I was Jordan, I would just like run it back and maybe get one piece. I definitely wouldn't like swap out coaches at that point. So I really don't know what he was thinking during that time, but I really think like maybe he thought like I make these multiple moves and we got a championship contender. But I just don't think that was realistic, man. And y'all know I'm like the biggest Jordan fan as a basketball player, and as a storyteller, and like kind of like a you know, the village wise man. You know, I really like hearing him talk. And as a basketball player, he's the best I've ever seen, obviously. But Yeah, as an executive and as a GM, not so much. It's just weird. Certain people aren't able to gauge talent, and other people are just brilliant at it, like a Jerry West, you know, like I don't know how he had like an 80% success ratio with the people he would pick and bring in. They always delivered. They always did what Jerry thought they would do. But not with Jordan, man. So whatever it is, I don't know, but I'll always be honest. The ownership period, other than making him even richer, it wasn't a good look. And I wonder how he feels about it looking back. If he's really honest, I wonder if he regrets these years, because those are years he's never going to get back in his life. And despite the fact that they were, you know, let's admit it, there was a bad run, terrible teams. You know Jordan was trying. That's the sad part. You know he was really stressing about this. He was really trying to put together a championship team. That takes time, that takes effort, and I wonder if he regrets it, because you can't get that time back. You know, he could have been doing other things. But anyways, guys, I thought that was a fun one. Thanks for watching with me. I'm gonna head out, and I'll see you all in the comments. Should be a fun one in the comment section. So all right, guys, like the vid on the way out if you could. Yeah, subscribe if you want more content like this. Once again, link to the Cosgrove video down below in the description. All right, guys, peace out and be water, my friends.